Um, again, I couldn't perform anything on him. Then I remember I had called out to Donna Law to check for the paramedics. By the time she was by the door, they were coming. They were coming in. And they did an amazing job. I'm here in Lakewood, Washington, and I want it to be known, whatever fire truck that was did everything they could. They came in here and they took over. And what I mean by took over is they went to work, and they knew he was one to have to put on a board and get out of here. I gave them all the information for Dad's home, his age. I only knew all that because his birthday was 3 days before, so I was able to even give him the year he was born. The only significance is I'm terrible at birthdays and numbers. So anyway, all for reasons. No one told us here that he was gone. But one thing we did realize when he was taken out of here was that he had released urine on himself. A sign of a release. And I remember begging the guys to save my father. And D-Law did everything she could to get the ambulance here as fast as she could. She was on with the 911 operator, and they were very helpful. I can't say no more. I even had judgment to the hospital years ago when my grandmother had been at St. Clair. I'll even say the name of the hospital, but I tell you what, they handled Dad.
About the trach.
Yeah, really well. So anyway, moving on with the story. We waited for a friend for just a couple minutes to arrive here to get us up to the hospital because they wouldn't let us ride. I think they knew that they pretty much weren't going to be able to save him. In fact, remembering now, one of the paramedics came out and told me that they had him on a machine alive. And what that told me was, without the machine, he wasn't alive. So, but they didn't say nothing about death. Which later on I found out they're not really even supposed to do anymore on scene. They normally save that for the hospital, save that for confirmation, because all these stupid people who sue people for dumb shit. I'm sure. Anyway, they were professionals. They ended up adding a trach to his throat, so I know they worked on him. They didn't just jam that there and tape it there. They worked on him. And by the time we got there, the best they could do was inform us that he didn't make it, that he had passed away. And this was all between 10 and 10:20. All this. But the beginning was about 9:30, 9:40. He began the terrible snoring. But we miss him. I want to say that. We all loved him. But what he had, which was finally in the autopsy report, was a pulmonary attack. And what that means, if anybody's watching this that doesn't understand pulmonary is pressure or fluid within the lungs, and or also that Dad had was blood clotting in his veins in his legs. So that explains what I was going to get on later about him holding his leg.
The doctor said to me there were 2 blood clots.
And it was mentioned to Donna Law at the hospital that they can at least confirm 2 blood clots. But again, pulmonary is also going to be an epidemic in a few years. Weight is a big trigger to pulmonary because of the pressure within the lungs. I advise anybody to research it, especially if you're in an obese position. Both of us here were obese. I was 346. Donna Law was 800. No, I'm just joking. 250. So we were all big people. But Dad carried his weight well. But the consumptions and stuff and the pressures all partake with that. Now, thin people do have pulmonary episodes, so the only problem with the obesity is the pressure and the automatic occurrence. So you can slow down the possibility of pulmonary attack and or eliminate it with weight loss, but I'm no doctor. But we miss him, and I wanted to share this on video. This was one of the longer ones because of the details. Thank you.